podcast is brought to you by BOA, your most comprehensive platform for investing in African stocks, bonds, and managed funds. You can download the BOA app on your favorite Google and Apple app stores. Today, we start with great news. The BRVM continued its upward trend during the week of December 1st to December 5th. Yes, the regional market remained firmly oriented to the upside, driven by rising investor confidence and an increasingly dynamic environment. And there's more. This week also marks a historic milestone for all investors in the region. The BRVM officially transitioned to T+2 settlement. We'll come back to that in detail shortly, but the simple takeaway is this: your transactions now settle faster, exactly 1 day earlier than before. Let's start with the index performance, then move into the top gainers, follow with the bond market, major flows, and the key opportunities shaping the upcoming week. All major BRVM indices ended the week higher, and that alone is a very strong signal for investors. The BRVM Composite Index gained 2.01%, closing at 352.87 points. The BRVM 30 rose 2.19% to 169.18 points. And the BRVM Prestige Index delivered the strongest performance, rising 3.94% to 146.56 points. What does this mean for you as an investor? It shows that the rally is broad-based. The gains are not coming from only a few isolated stocks, but from a general market movement. When all indices rise at the same time, it often signals renewed confidence across the region. It also means that opportunities are spreading across multiple sectors, not just one or two. However, even in a rising market, liquidity trends matter. This week, traded volumes fell by 54.21%, reaching a little over 3,324,945 shares. Meanwhile, the traded value dropped 20.69% to approximately 4,290.6 million francs CFA. This tells us something important. The market is rising, but selectively. Investors are positioning carefully, yet the sentiment remains positive. Now let's look at the week's strongest performers. And once again, several stocks delivered remarkable gains. SETAO, Côte d'Ivoire, leads the market with a sharp 15.07% rise over the week. Its year-to-date performance now stands at 180%. Such a move often reflects strong investor expectations ahead of upcoming annual results. Société Générale Côte d'Ivoire increased 13.40%, closing at 30,150 francs CFA. This move is supported by strong demand, aligned with the solid performance of the banking sector throughout the year. BOA Benin also ended the week higher, rising 9.63% to 5,805 francs CFA, confirming sustained interest in West African banking stocks. But as always, not every stock followed the upward trend. Some shares declined, especially in textile and cable sectors. Unuex Côte d'Ivoire dropped 6.04%, closing at 1,400 francs CFA. Sikibel Côte d'Ivoire fell 4.78%, and Sycor Côte d'Ivoire recorded the sharpest decline of the week with a 6.87% drop. These declines highlight two important lessons for investors. First, even in a bullish week, some sectors may remain under pressure. Second, diversification across industries is essential to manage risk. On the trading side, Sonatel Senegal remained the most actively traded stock during the week. The value traded on the stock rose 43.31%, a clear sign of sustained investor interest in large-cap defensive positions. Société Générale Côte d'Ivoire and SETAO Côte d'Ivoire also recorded significant volumes, although slightly less dynamic than Sonatel. The bond segment was particularly active this week. Bond market capitalization decreased slightly by 0.36%, but traded value surged. Total traded bond value reached roughly 3,807 million francs CFA, compared to 1,889 million francs CFA the previous week. For investors, this means many market participants reposition themselves toward bonds, often viewed as more stable instruments during phases of rotation or uncertainty. The most traded bond was the TPCI 5.75% 10-year, which accounted for more than a quarter of total volumes. This reflects investors' appetite for instruments providing solid yields on medium-term maturities. This behavior remains aligned with trends seen for months, a strong search for balance between yield and stability. Now, let's discuss the biggest structural development of the week. Since Thursday, December 4th, the BRVM officially switched to a T+2 settlement cycle. So, what does that mean exactly? Previously, when you bought shares, you had to wait 3 business days to receive the shares. When you sold shares, it also took 3 business days to receive the cash. Now, both processes take 2 business days. This introduces several clear advantages for investors. Faster access to your money when you sell. Quicker ownership of shares when you buy. Reduced market risk between the trade date and settlement date. Alignment with international standards, making the market more attractive globally. Improve liquidity, as shorter settlement cycles tend to boost trading activity. This is a major step forward for the BRVM and an excellent development for every investor, beginner, or experienced. To close, let's highlight the trends that may create opportunities next week. The positive momentum in banking stocks may continue, as several indicators point to ongoing operational strength. Industrial names have also seen rising activity, hinting at renewed interest in companies offering visibility in a shifting environment. Meanwhile, the bond market remains attractive for investors seeking steady yields on medium and long-term maturities. These signals matter, but as always, the most specific and actionable opportunities are reserved for DABA Pro subscribers. That's all for today's episode. Thanks for listening to the DABA Markets Talk podcast. We'll be back next week with another update. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating, follow us, and share with friends. Remember, this information is for educational purposes. Always do your own research or consult with a financial advisor before making investment decisions. And download the DABA app on your App Store to start investing in African stocks, bonds, and manage portfolios through your phone and find other helpful content. Until next time, keep learning and keep growing your financial knowledge.